fallacy of ambiguity arises from the occurrence of some form of ambiguity in either the premise or the conclusion or both. An expression is ambiguous if it's susceptible to different interpretation in a given context, it including equivocation and amphiboly. Equivocation, ambiguity lies in word, and whereas amphiboly, ambiguity lies in dangling modifier or ambiguous antecedents of pronoun or punctuation mistake or careless arrangement of words, right? But in equivocation, only a single word is misused in a single argument in two or more than two contexts. For example, some triangles are obtuse, whatever obtuse is ignorant, therefore some triangles are ignorant. Any law can be replaced by legislative authority, but the law of gravity is law, therefore the law of gravity can be repealed by the legislative authority. It is wonderful. Which word is used ambiguously in this example? Some triangles are obtuse, whatever obtuse is ignorant, therefore some triangles are ignorant. Obtuse. Second example, your name. What's your name? Kalkiran, father name. Yes. Any law can be repealed by legislative authority, but the law of gravity is a law, therefore the law of gravity can be repealed by the legislative authority. Which word is used equivocally? To equivocate, to use a single word into two or more than two contexts in a single argument. Which word is used equivocally? The first example, as Kalkidan stated, obtuse is used equivocally. Second example, the word law, yes. The word law is used in two different senses. Right? Equivocation is single word. Amphiboly is what? Group of word, phrase, or careless arrangement of words. Dangling modifier. Dangling modifier. What is that? Or ambiguous antecedent of a pronoun. Or punctuation mistake. Carelessly putting punctuation in their incorrect place. What's a dangling modifier? A dangling modifier. A grammatical error that occurs when a modifier, usually phrase or a clause, is placed in a sentence in such a way that it does not clearly and logically modify the intended word or phrase. As a result, the modifier dangles or misplaced without a clear connection to the element it's supposed to modify. Walking down the street, the trees appear beautiful. Corrected, walking down the street, I saw the beautiful tree. Because the subject has been absent in the first example. Walking down the streets appear beautiful. In the absence of the subject, we cannot certainly tell whether the modifier walking down the street is modifying the trees or something else without the presence of the subject. Right? It may lead to what? Different interpretations. Modifiers are not in their proper place, or the subject is not mentioned in the entire passage. That's what dangling or misplaced. They are also known as misplaced modifier. We cannot tell exactly or certainly which word or which subject that they are modifying, which in a situation which leads to different interpretation, right? Either because of dangling modifier or what? Because of ambiguous antecedent of a pronoun. Ambiguous antecedent of a pronoun. John told Henry that he had made a mistake. Therefore, it follows that John has at least the courage to admit his own mistake. Can we certainly tell that John has at least the courage to admit his own mistake just by looking into the first example? John told Henry that he had made a mistake. Who made a mistake? John or Henry? We cannot certainly tell. Why? Because of ambiguous antecedent of the pronoun he. Because of ambiguous antecedent of the pronoun he. It can be equal to Henry or to John. Ambiguous antecedent of the pronoun he may lead to the kind of fallacy which is known as amphiboly. Ambiguity arises from the pronoun he and its unclear antecedent. The statement could be interpreted as John admitting his own mistake or John informing Henry that Henry made a mistake. The faulty conclusion assumes that John is admitting his own mistake, but this interpretation is not necessarily true based on solely on the given statement, right? So replacing ambiguous pronoun of the antecedent is the best way to get rid of fallacy of amphiboly, replacing with their correct antecedent. Same thing is true for the second one. Because of fault in punctuation, Professor Johnson says that he will give a lecture about heart failure in the biology lecture hall. Therefore, it must be the case that a number of heart failures have occurred there recently. Where should be the comma to get rid of ambiguity? Where should we insert the comma? Professor Johnson said that he will give a lecture about heart failure in the biology lecture hall. In this case, the ambiguity arises from the statement structure and mistaken inference drawn from it. The statement indicates that Professor Johnson will give a lecture about heart failure in the biology lecture hall. However, the faulty conclusion assumes that the presence of heart failure as a topic in the lecture implies that heart failure have recently occurred in the biology lecture hall, which is an unwarranted conclusion. Where should be the comma? Professor Johnson said that he will give a lecture about heart failure. Just immediately after what? Lecture, right? Professor Johnson said that he will give a lecture, comma, about health failure, comma, in the biology lecture hall. Putting the proper comma or punctuation may avoid the ambiguity. The absence of proper punctuation may lead to different interpretation. Professor Johnson said that he will give a lecture, comma, about heart failure in the biology lecture hall. Without proper punctuation, it will lead to the kind of fallacy known as amphiboly, right? Because of antecedent. Ambiguous antecedent. Pronoun. Fallacies of grammatical analogy commits this argument that commits fallacies are grammatically analogous to other arguments that are good in every respect. Because of this similarity in linguistic structure, such fallacious arguments may appear good, however, they are bad. It includes composition and division. The fallacy of composition is committed when the conclusion of an argument depends on mistaken transference of an attribute from the parts of something into the whole. The fallacy occurs when it's argued that because the parts have certain attributes, it follows that the whole has the attributes too. For example, each player on the football team is outstanding, therefore the team itself is outstanding. They are typically tricks. Tricks. Not all inference from parts to whole are invalid, right? Each part of the machine weighs more than 1 pound, and the machine has 50 parts. Therefore, the machine itself weighs more than 1 pound. It proceeds from part to whole, and there is nothing wrong with this particular argument. The second type of fallacy composition is an invalid inference from attributes of member of a group to attributes of the group itself. An erroneous transference of. Note that composition is sometimes confused with hasty generalizations. How can we tell the difference between composition and hasty generalizations? They are similar in certain feature. Both composition and hasty generalization proceed from specific to general. from specific sample, it's the general population in hasty generalizations. The same thing is true for composition. From a specific part, it's the general conclusion. How can we make a distinction? Composition is about making assumption about the whole based on its parts. It's like baking a cake in assuming it will be sweet because the ingredients are sweet individually. Hasty generalization is about making assumptions about all members of a group based on limited evidence. It's like meeting one friendly person from a country, assuming everyone from that country is friendly. Key difference, focus of composition is what? On the whole, while hasty generalization focus on individual member. Composition leads to class statement about the whole, while hasty generalization leads to general statement. What's class statement and general statement? Can you give an example? Every ingredient in this smoothie is healthy. Is it class statement or general statement? Every ingredient in this smoothie is healthy. So the entire smoothie must be healthy. Is it a class statement or general statement? Every ingredient in this smoothie is healthy. It's a class statement, right? It's a class statement because it makes a claim about every member of the general claim. Whereas in hasty generalizations, the conclusion make an assertion about the general population. It does not make an assertion about each and every member of the general population. My friend tried a new diet and lost weight quickly, so it must work for everyone. Focus on individual experience, general statement. It's a general statement. General, you need to be aware of the difference between general statement and class statement to easily be able to identify between composition and hasty generalizations. Right? Characteristics. General statement apply to every individual member of class group. Use distributive predicate. Distributive predication, meaning the attribute is assigned to each and every member of the general group separately. Example, all humans are mortal. Every single human is mortal. Every dog has a tail. Each individual dog, without exception, has a tail. No student can attend class without permission. Each student individually needs permission. Whereas class statements apply to a group as a whole, not necessarily to every individual member. Use collective predication, meaning the attributes are assigned to the group collectively. For example, the human race is diverse. What does it mean? When we say that human race is diverse, does it mean each and every human being on the planet Earth? No. The group as a whole is diverse, even if some individuals share traits. The team played well. The team collectively performed well, even if some player had off days. The force is teaming with life, right? So the question that you need to ask yourself is whether the conclusion is making a class statement or general statement. If it's making a class statement, then the fallacy is what? Composition. If the conclusion is making a general statement, then the fallacy occurred is what? Hasty generalization. If the conclusion is class statement, it must be what? Composition. If the conclusion is general statement, then it must be hasty generalization, right? So it will not be easy to identify between composition and hasty generalizations, but asking yourself such kind of two questions can easily solve the problem, right? It will help us to easily understand or differentiate between hasty generalization and compositions, whether the conclusion is making a claim about each member of the group or the group as a whole. Fallacy of division is just direct reverse of composition. It's assuming that just because something is true for a whole group, it must be true for every individual member of that group, right? The university has high graduation rate, so every student must be academically successful. This ignores individual difference and factors that can affect individual success. This book is long and complex, therefore each sentence must be difficult to understand. It's typically division. Right. Read the first example. The sign said, They tricked me. Yes, which fallacies of presumption, ambiguity, grammatical analogy is committed? Yes. And justification. Your name? Kafela. 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 Kafela, yes. Which fallacy of presumption or ambiguity or grammatical analogy? Ambiguity, namely? Equivocation. Very good. Why? Which word is equivocated? Fine. Thank you very much. The word fine is equivocated. You're either for unrestricted freedom. Just Kafela. You are either, can you read the second example? You're either for unrestricted free speech or against freedom altogether. If you support any limitation on speech, you are undermining the foundation of our democracy. It's either or argument. It's what? Fallacies? False dichotomy. Thank you very much. False dichotomy, black and white thinking or false bifurcation. It presents the alternative as if it's exhaustive, complete alternative without the possibility exploring other possible alternative. Using smartphone to communicate. Using smartphone. You get example? You get example? You get example? Using smartphone to communicate. Stand up, please. Fair, it's not right.
Using a smartphone to communicate is similar to sending letters by mail. Both involve written message, therefore, smartphones are just an version of traditional.
Yes. Can you detect the fallacy? What's wrong? It's what? Using a smartphone to communicate is similar to sending letters by mail. Both involve written message, therefore smartphones are just a modern version of traditional mail. Comparing orange with apple. Weak analogy, yes. Mentioning certain relevant similarity by ignoring the most relevant and substantial similarity between the two events. Weak analogy. I meet two rude tourists from that country, so everyone that country must be rude. How's the generalization? Why? Because selected sample is small enough, yes. This team has star player in every position, so they will definitely win the championship. Yes, no, question number 4. Let's reflect. I meet two rude tourists from that country, so everyone from that country must be rude. We said it's hasty generalization. Why is not composition? Hasty generalization and composition are similar in certain feature. Why it's not composition? Because the conclusion is class statement or general statement. It's a general statement. Because it's a general statement. Everyone from that country must be rude. It's a general statement. It does not make a claim about each and every member, but the characteristic feature of the general population of that particular statement, right? It's a general statement. This team has star player in every position, therefore they will definitely win the championship. Yes, composition or division. has and why. This team has star player in every position, therefore they will definitely win the championship. It's typically erroneously transferring the attributes of each player to the attributes of the team, right? Composition. It is compositions. Erroneously transferring the attributes of each individual player to the attributes, weakness, strengths of the team as a whole. You need to practice more on informal fallacies. They will be misleading and confusing without